it depends how the sleep went at night. Do you have, besides the food, do you have specific suggestions that you have seen over all your decades of working with this? Um, what is a good, is there a certain ritual, if I can call it that way, for sleep that you recommend? Because sleep is very important.
Sleep is
I hear you
foundational.
talk about it regularly, so.
Yeah, I wrote an entire book about
About
sleep.
sleep,
It's called
yeah.
Sleepless in America.
That's right,
Yes.
Sleepless in America.
Yeah, it is found. I mean, you can't manage emotions if you're exhausted.
Yeah.
So the first thing I always ask is, do you have to wake your child in the morning? If you're waking your child in the morning, they're not getting enough sleep. That is 100% red flag. They're not getting enough sleep.
I see.
The other thing is, if I ask you, when does your child wake up? And you say, it depends. Well, if that's varying, an hour, some days they're up at 6, some days it's 7, they're literally changing time zones. They
Okay.
are in a state of jet lag. Their
Yeah.
brain doesn't know when to sleep and when to be awake, and it disrupts our sleep. So the first thing is knowing, how much sleep does this child need?
Okay.
And many people don't understand that a preschooler, even kindergartners, occasionally first graders, still need 11 to 12 hours of sleep.
Wow.
So if that child has dropped a nap and needs to be up at 6 in the morning so that we're not rushing,
Yeah.
because rushing again triggers the arousal system,
Yeah.
is they have to be lights out between 6 and 6:30. That's hard to do. So if they're younger kids, we're going to try to put the nap back in. If
Okay.
we can't, then we have to figure out how in your family can we get this child to bed so they get the sleep they need. But it's not just bedtime. A good night's sleep begins in the morning.
Okay.
So, number one is a regular wake time, keeping it within like about a 30-minute window.
Okay.
Now, we need more sleep in the fall and winter than we
right.
need in spring and
I
summer.
think it's natural.
It
A
is.
lot of people crave it, even adults.
Well, it's dark.
Yeah.
Our body says, it's dark out
Yeah,
there.
like the chickens, they go
we
to
should
sleep.
sleep longer. Right. And so meals, regular scheduled meals, set the body clock. So when we wake and we offer food, that again is setting the body clock of when we eat and when we sleep. The other thing is exposure to morning light, which is also why I really include, stress that importance of, if possible, get them outside before school or at least sometime in the morning to get exposure to morning light. If that's not possible,
I see.
it's like get the blinds open, make the table close to the window so we at least get light exposure. And then we watch. What are we doing late afternoon, evening? And is it calming and kind of preparing them to fall asleep or alerting them? So, for example, many of my spirited kids, bath can be either a fight because it's a transition, getting them in and out,
Right.
or it's very exciting and then they run naked down the hallway.
Right.
Or it was a fight to get them in the first place. If that's the case, then that bath or shower needs to be moved either immediately after dinner or before dinner or to the morning because it activates the arousal system.
I see.
So we shift it. Reading, same thing. Obviously, we want to be reading to our kids and having our kids read.
Yeah.
But for spirited kids, many of them are very bright, very creative.
Yeah.
And two things happen. One is they get really into the material. They beg for more books.
Right.
They're persistent.
Yeah.
So they fight to have another chapter or another book.
That's one of the temperaments, right?
That's
Persistence.
the persistence. So again, instead of calming, it alerts. So again, we're going to move reading to a different time, maybe before dinner, or
see.
again, early evening, so that the final sleep routine can happen in about 30 minutes, that it's literally just a bedtime snack, toileting, pajamas, teeth, little talk time, kiss, hug, lights out.
Huh.
So we hit the window because there is a window for sleep. And especially high energy kids have about a 15-minute window. Miss it, and they can't fall asleep for the
They get
next
the second energy, second
45
wind.
to 90 minutes. They get
Is
a
that
second
right?
wind. Yes.
Wow. Oh.
So you know you're hitting your child's window for sleep when they're asleep within 25 to 35 minutes max of
Yeah.
lights out. If they're falling asleep in 5 minutes, you actually may want to move their bedtime 15 minutes earlier, especially if sometimes you have to wake them in the morning. But a good night's sleep, we need to be thinking about it through the day and setting that body clock to get Mother Nature on our side.
Many parents I've heard and I've witnessed like to use sound machines for children. What's your feeling about that? Is that really an individual thing? Some children love it, others don't. Do you say silence is the best way?
The key is what we want to do is however our child falls asleep, and this is true for us as adults as well, if we then turn that off before we go to bed, your child goes through sleep cycles all through the night. They go from light sleep to deep sleep, light sleep. Well, if the environment has changed from when they fell asleep, so they started with a sound machine, but now it's off,
Okay,
they're more likely to alert and awaken.
I see.
So if your child's waking frequently,
Yeah,
then one, either decide to just leave it on,
yeah, okay.
or let's take other steps to calm them than the sound machine. So it is a tool, and it's like, is it working and calming, or is it not?
I've heard parents who use weighted blankets, heavier blankets, even though that is also more recognized for children with more anxiety. I don't know if anxiety is one of the temperaments or one of the characteristics that spirited children have. But have you seen improvements in sleep when they have one of these weighted blankets over them?
Well, as someone who has a very heavy down quilt on my bed,
Yeah, you like those Montana winters.
I love that feeling.
Yeah,
So I can appreciate that. Again, it's what calms the arousal system. And so if that feeling of kind of pressure, because it's called proprioceptic pressure
yeah.
against the body, and it can be very calming. For other people, it's too hot.
Yeah, I
And
see.
I can't sleep. So it's becoming aware of, is this, because sleep for spirited kids is kind of like a runway, it's not a switch.
Okay.
And it's like, is this bringing down the arousal, is it calming the arousal system, or is it alerting it?
I see.
And we want the things that calm so it's easy to slip into sleep.
Interesting. I like to wear a mask over my eyes to keep the room really dark, even though our bedroom is north side of the house, so it is already pretty dark in this neighborhood. But I feel it's darker. Is a mask for children, is that too much? Or do you say leave it out? But I think that darkness, making a room very dark, would be very calming and helpful.
Well, the key with the dark and how we get it, obviously, depending on the age of the child, for a very young child, we wouldn't use a mask because of safety
sure.
concern.
Yeah.
But we could use dark out shades.
Correct.
And if you have a child who is temperamentally very perceptive, and there's just a little bit of light on the edge of your blind, they'll focus on it and stay awake. So we do want to have dark. What we also know is we don't want night lights or light in the room. And if your child is like, I'm afraid of the dark, we want the smallest night light, like behind a dresser, because it affects the melatonin cycle.
Right.
And the
Good
melatonin
point.
cycle tells us, again, when to be awake and when to go to sleep.
Yeah.
And so we do get better quality sleep in a dark room and a
Yeah.
cool room.
Plus, if you turn the light on when you go to bed, the little tiny light behind a cabinet or something, it looks like nothing. But when you are getting used to the dark, that's a pretty bright light.
Yes.
You notice it changes very quickly to, whoa, it's actually, I can see a lot in this room. Children like to, I think, having a bedroom that is organized and clean, and I would say, well, in a way you say they don't like change. So if children are used to a messy bed, then I guess if that calms them down, you leave the messy bed. But at the same time, I have a feeling that if the bed is made and that it is organized in the room and the room feels, the energy in the room is calm, I think that would help the child.
What you're talking about is serenity,
Serenity.
serene space and a calming space.
Yeah.
And so, what calms this child?
Yeah.
And you're right, clutter actually can be agitating. And again, if you have a highly perceptive child and, my toy is over here, or for older kids, my phone is here.
Right.
It's going to disrupt their ability to fall asleep and stay asleep. We do not want electronics in the bedrooms.
Okay.
So they need to stay in
No
the
alarm
kitchen.
clock, nothing like that.
You could have a clock, but again, I would tend to turn it against the wall so that
Okay.
that the
bright
light is, but or again, just be cognizant of the placement. We can use clocks to help younger kids know, because there's clocks that turn green or the sun comes up when it's time to wake up and
Right.
get up in the morning.
Right.
So it's a tool and we can use that. But the bottom line is we don't want text messages. We don't want a cell phone flashing. We don't want a television.